deadly plague wipes out humanity, leaving one man to rebuild the world from its ruins. But as nature reclaims the earth, can humanity's mistakes be erased, or will they haunt the new beginning? This morning, the earth is set to show off its shape, as Ish, a young geologist, ignores his mother's calls and heads to a quarry. He collects stones to test the presence of some elements, but gets bitten by a snake in the process. As soon as this happens, he tries to call for help, but the phone slips out of his hand and falls, so he uses a knife to cut the wound open and suck out the poison. After this, he barely manages to return home before he passes out slowly. As time goes by, he goes in and out of consciousness. Eventually, Ish wakes up and sees that his hand is healed, so he dresses up and heads outside, but is surprised to see that his white car has turned brown. However, he doesn't think much about it and cleans it, preparing to leave, but the car engine hasn't woken up yet. But he keeps trying, and the car gets tired of being stubborn, so he drives it into the city. Soon, he arrives outside of a mall, but it is too quiet, and cars are parked in a scattered manner. Then he sees a dead body on the ground, and soon realizes that the place is littered with bodies. Thankfully, he doesn't have to wander for long, because he sees a notice that talks about a global pandemic. As soon as he sees this, he drives to his parents' house, hoping for a miracle. But he is greeted by the smell of their decaying bodies, a perfume he would never have bargained for after mourning their loss. He digs a grave and gives them a burial. When he returns home, he rests for a while, but soon it occurs to him that there may be other survivors. So he drives a long way into the city, and when he sees lights from a distance, he gets excited. However, when he arrives in the city, the light refuses to give him a rainbow, but casts a deathly shadow, realizing he is the only survivor. He goes to a hotel and swims naked, drowning his sorrows away. Suddenly, he hears the voices of a woman named Anne and an elderly man named Milton. While Milton gives him a robe, Anne explains that the virus spread quickly and killed everyone she tells him that they are alive, because they are immune. Milton then goes on to show a video of how the virus ruined the world, but Ish is too shocked and leaves them. The next morning, he returns to meet them and informs him that the hotel's backup generator will soon shut down. She gets emotional and leaves Milton, on the other hand, continues the discussion and explains that they plan to kill themselves. Ish doesn't agree with this and argues that there are other survivors, but this doesn't change their minds. So Ish leaves the hotel and hears a gunshot on his way out, consumed with frustration. He engages in road rage and almost runs over a stray dog. He stops the car and checks on the dog, happy to find it alive. He adopts it and names it Lucky together. Ish and Lucky spend a year living life, or maybe I should say, dying. Slowly one lucky evening, Lucky senses something in the distance. Calling Ish's attention, Ish sees smoke coming from a chimney in a house nearby. Without wasting time, he drives there and finds a woman named Emma. At first, Emma is defensive, but she lets her guard down and welcomes him into the house. He finds out she has a military background because of her parents, and she just arrived in the neighborhood recently. After talking for a while, she decides to stay with Ish, and she moves into his house there. They start building their own family, furnishing the house, and planting seeds in the ground and inside Emma's womb. When Ish finds out that Emma is pregnant, he gets scared because he feels they are not properly equipped to have a baby. But Emma assures him they can do it. So Ish goes to the library and gathers books on childbirth time passes by, and Emma enters her final trimester, since there are no humans for a baby shower. The rats assemble from the four corners of the earth and infest their houses. But Emma and Ish aren't welcoming and seal off the house. Unfortunately, Lucky, whom they forgot outside, gets injured, and they spend the night treating it. Soon the rats return to their homes and Ish, and Emma are happy to see the outside world again. But they aren't the only ones eager to go out, because the baby joins the excitement for the next few hours. Emma handles labor like an expert until she is ready to push. They discover the baby is in a breech position, so she coaches Ish on how to correct it. Like a brave man, he follows her lead, and the baby drops in his arms. They name the girl Heather, paying homage to Ish's mother with a newfound hope. Emma uses spray paint to scribble a notice on a wall in the streets, telling other survivors that their house is open for them. Time passes by, and it's now 6 years. Post-pandemic, Ish goes hunting in the woods, where he comes across a scared teenager called Evie. He convinces her to trust him and takes her back home. There he introduces Evie to Emma and his children Heather and Alex. He also introduces Evie to another couple, He and Morin, who are living with them as they welcome a reserved Evie. Morin discovers a letter in Eve's bag that tells her story. In the letter, E's mom left a dying message to anyone who finds EIE, telling them that E's father hurt her, and pleading with them to take care of her. Although Evie never speaks because of the trauma, she finally settles into their home, and Maureen adopts her 7 years after the pandemic. Emma and Ish have another baby boy and name him Joey one day, as they are hanging out with Jorge, and Marin Ish notices movement in the woods around their house, and they quickly take defensive action. Morin watches the kids while the others go in search of their enemy. Emma comes face to face with a woman called Molly, and the others back her up. Molly explains that she is trying to protect her son Rafe, who is hiding in the woods. Because of this, both parties drop their guns, and Molly's family comes out of hiding. Molly introduces her husband, Ezra Raw, and his ex-wife, Jean, who is the real mother of Rafe. Together, all of them returned to the house that night. Ish expresses some concern, telling Emma he doesn't feel safe with the new family. But Emma reminds him they are trying to rebuild the earth. So, trying to embrace them, Ish leads the adults to go shopping for supplies the next morning. While others pick useful items, Jean takes some alcoholic wine from the shelves she spends the night drinking. When morning comes, Molly finds her throwing up, and Jan explains that she is relapsing. Molly comforts her, and they decide not to tell Ezra. Meanwhile, Jorge and Morin welcome a baby together in the 14th year post-pandemic Ish, and Joey, his favorite son, spend time reading books in a library. Soon a storm rages in the area, so they return home and everyone stays indoors. Unfortunately, Lucky is caught in the storm and dies. The following morning, Ish gives him a proper burial, as he is talking with Jorge. He notices a lion in the woods targeting Heather, so he asks Heather to run inside while he runs in front of the animal. He tries to fight it off, but it injures him severely and starts dragging him into the woods. Thankfully, Heather screams and people rescue but he is bleeding severely. Molly, who dropped out of medical school, uses her little knowledge to save his life. In time, he recovers to say goodbye to Heather and Rafe, who are now a couple. They decide to explore the earth together and leave home. As life goes on, Alex gets jealous because Ish spends more time with Joey, but Alex doesn't confront this issue one day while Eve is cooking water, stops flowing from the tap, so Ish, Jorge, and Joey go to investigate. They discover the reservoir pipes have been damaged, and it will take weeks to repair while they are trying to figure this out. Joey calls their attention to 2 new vehicles driving in their direction. Alarmed by the fact that they have not seen survivors for years, they rush home and close their gates. Eventually, the vehicles arrive at the gate of their home, and a man named Charlie explains that he has a drill that will help them get water, but in exchange, he needs food supplies for his group. At first, Ish is hesitant, but since others don't have an issue, Ish welcomes Charlie and his group that night. They gather to share dinner and get to know themselves. Ish and Emma noticed Charlie giving Eve a funny look, making Eve uncomfortable. Perry, Charlie's partner, sees it too, but brushes it off and smiles. The following day, Alex says he wants to join Charlie to drill for water, but Ish disagrees, asking Alex to work with him instead. But Alex finally vents his frustration and accuses Ish of neglecting him. Then he storms off to join Charlie to drill. Later that day, Charlie and Ish go hunting together, and Charlie shoots the animal from a distance, telling Ish he is good at hunting. When Ish hears this, his suspicions grow, and he keeps a watch on Charlie one night. Charlie tries to lure Jean to smoke and drink, but Jean refuses, telling him she is a former addict. Despite this, he tries to convince her to drink a little, but she successfully resists the devil. The next day, The men keep working on drilling the borehole. The drill works, and water starts flowing. So they all rejoice. Ish, on the other hand, asked Charlie to take some supplies, and Lise agreed. But Charlie declines, saying he likes staying with them. Ish also watches as Alex blushes when talking to one of Charlie's angels, whom Alex likes disturbed by the situation. Ish leaves the celebration and goes to his room upstairs, watching them from the balcony. But he doesn't see when Charlie gives one of his guys, Silas, a strange signal. Later that night, Charlie has his way with Evie, and Ish sees him coming out of her room. While Charlie returns to his room, Ish gathers the parents, and Molly confirms Evie has been hurt. Because of this, Emma suggests they killed Charlie, claiming it is the only way to get rid of a predator like him. At first, they are hesitant, but eventually they agree, so Ish goes to confront Charlie that night. But Charlie isn't sorry as planned. The parents surround him, and Ish hits Charlie continuously with a hammer, till Charlie dies before Ish sleeps. That night, he asks Emma what God will ask in return, because he killed someone. Emma doesn't know, but she assures him God will forgive him when morning comes. The parents behave like everything is normal, and inform Perry that Charlie is gone. Perry is happy with the news, because she is one of his victims. As for Charlie's guys, the parents give them the option to stay and behave or leave. All the guys decide to stay except Silas, who leaves angrily. Time passes by, and it is now 20 years since the pandemic. Joey comes down with an illness, but his parents don't think it is a major cause for alarm until he faints in their room. After this, Ish meets Molly and discovers that many people in their home are sick. Molly explains that the virus is back and past survivors are at risk while they try to treat their sick ones. Heather returns from her trip alone. She explains that Rafe is dead and cries while her parents comfort her. Meanwhile, Alex confronts Ish, who is looking after Joey, saying it wouldn't have been the same if he was in Joey's place. As the hours go by, Joey doesn't improve, and this makes Ish frustrated. He enters a CH and says a prayer for the first time, asking God to take him. Instead of Joey, Ish believes God wants to use Joey to make him pay for Charlie's death. Later, Heather sits with Jean and Ezra to narrate her experience with Rafe. She tells them that they traveled together and spotted some numbers with arrows on the walls. However, when they tried to follow the direction of the arrows, they eventually got lost and settled down. At a spot one day, Heather saw a healing tree, and she asked Rafe to cut some of its medicinal leaves. She stepped away for some seconds and saw a strange man in the distance, but the man disappeared. Eventually, the man returned when they were back in their tent and took Rafe hostage, demanding food from Heather. The man was revealed to be Silas, who was exiled, but they didn't know each other before Heather could respond. The man stabbed Rafe and ran. Rafe died after a few seconds after Heather buried him. She returned home to them. When G hears the story, she hugs Heather as they battle the virus. Heather shares the plant from the healing tree, and they start using it to treat the sick. But Joey dies with his parents by his side, an eye for an eye and a life for a life. Over the next few days, Ish feels sad and loses his way, mourning the loss of his son. Then, one day, he takes a walk in the woods till he finds a beautiful scene. He watches as the sun sets a beautiful tone on the earth. The flowers bloom and birds fly across the sky. This gives him newfound hope that Earth is healing. Because of this view, Ish begins to heal, and the people gradually recover 1 year after Joey's death. Ish finally packs Joey's stuff from the room. He stumbles on Joey's diary and discovers that Joey had planned to build a radio that they could use to locate other survivors. So he gathers everyone and shows them Joey's plan. Together, they build the radio, but when Ish tries connecting at various frequencies, he always hears static. One day, he joins everyone to play a baseball game during the game. Ish. Emma and Heather have a conversation, and Heather asks why there are many numbers in a baseball game. Because of this, she recalls the numbers on her trip and informs Ish about the numbers she saw on the roads with Rafe. When she explains the arrows that follow the numbers, Ish believes it is a signal and runs to the radio, tuning the frequency to the numbers. because Ish leaves abruptly. Everyone follows him and watches as he makes a call to any survivor out there at first. They get no response, but Ish doesn't give up. Finally, a woman responds, and they celebrate. The woman informs them that she is with a group of 77 survivors who settled down close to the beach. They argue about which group will migrate to meet the other. The next time we see Ish, we get a view of a finely aged man walking with his grandson 50 years after the pandemic. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like our channel and subscribe if you enjoy content like this also. Let us know what movie you would love us to recap for you.